Hi there. My name is Shoshana Bryn Jones Square. It is such an honor to be part of this amazing conference. All of my idols are here. I won't list them all because it is everyone. So I am approaching all of this from a literary background. So I received my PhD from Oxford in English literature, specialty in 18th, 19th century literature. But my work's always been quite interdisciplinary. So I love to bring in science and psychology and philosophy because I think it's so essential for us to combine the disciplines so that we can really address many of the issues that we're dealing with right now in the world. So again, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be a part of this, and I cannot wait to not read your presentations, I get to actually see them. So that's so exciting. I'll move on. All right, so the title of my paper is our presentation, Making Waves, Ripples of Consciousness in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So what's amazing about the novel is she's engaging with so many of the same questions that we're asking today. What does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be conscious, to be aware of being conscious? So what is awareness? What is the self? So all these vital questions, where did we come from? Where are we going? The stuff that we're asking all the time. It's really what Mary Shelley is focusing on in Frankenstein. So it's a brilliant novel. I'm sure lots of you have read it. All right, so as I started this, I had way too many ideas and still do. So this is way too long. I think it's 177 slides, so I won't put you through that. But I wanted to share this quotation from Virginia Woolf. I adore her so much. And yeah, she, as you likely know too, used stream of consciousness and wrote The Waves. And it's always about this idea of waves in the mind, right? This idea of consciousness and how we express it. So anyway, but she says in her writer's diary, I dare say I shan't be able to carry it out. I am stuffed with ideas. I feel I can use up everything I've ever thought. So she's talking about this in reference to Mrs. Dalloway. But this is how I feel for this particular presentation, just reading all of your abstracts. My brain was going in every direction, wanting to bring everything in. So incredibly excited about this. Thank you. So the story of Frankenstein is like an origin story, right? It's about the creation of a creature. Whether that creature is human or not is what is considered, whether he's conscious, whether he sort of experiences what we feel. So it's makes reference to Milton's Paradise Lost. It opens with a quotation from Paradise Lost that I'll bring in later. So very biblical and references to Genesis and creation. So we emerge from darkness into light, from the nothingness of non-existence to the somethingness of conscious experience, in an echo of the dawning of the universe itself. As physicist Ian Walmsley writes, light gives light. What did I just say? Light gives life. Ah, dear, eh? So according to Genesis, before God created light, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. However, when the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, again, this movement and waves, moved by the invisible or the numinous, and commanded, let there be light, the stillness was disturbed, the water set in eternal motion, and the darkness made dazzlingly bright. So again, light and dark are also very important themes in the novel. And this idea of motion and spirit and the divine, the invisible playing upon humanity, inspiring humanity, and actually creating this life, eternal life. So beautiful stuff. I'll move on. So, and you obviously know this, science is a similar story about the birth of our inexplicable but miraculous universe. So as Hawking writes, I'm sure you know that dude, there was a time called the Big Bang when the universe was infinitesimally small and infinitely dense. And one may say that time had a beginning at the Big Bang, the instant when suddenly the universe became saturated by light. So like the wind suddenly creating perpetually cresting waves in a motionless and soundless sea. So the Big Bang is said to have created cosmic ripples, ever-expanding waves swelling outwards. Very beautiful. So, fascinatingly, the lovely, amazing Baroness Susan Greenfeld, I love you, uses an almost identical analogy to describe the awakening of consciousness, likening it to a stone being thrown into a pool of water. I hope I'm getting this right. So Greenfeld suggests that the stone is like a strong sensory experience, such as the sound of an alarm clock, the equivalent of throwing the stone very forcefully and thereby generating strong enough ripples to rouse us from senselessness to awareness. She's So according to Greenfield, again, hopefully I have this right, consciousness is more like a dimmer switch, so it has levels and gradations. So I'm more conscious now than I was when I was a child, and I'm more conscious than a dog. But that doesn't mean that my dog isn't conscious. So again, this idea that it has levels and gradations. So again, the stone is like a strong sensory experience. I've said this already, so I don't need to repeat it. It's there for you if you need it. So over 200 years ago, the teenage Mary Shelley, Frankenstein was published when she was only 19 years old, which is nuts. The very structure of, so it's framed narratives actually mirrors this rippling effect that is used to describe the awakening of consciousness. And his story is just told and retold, both within the novel, as I'll explain, but then by us outside the novel. It's still being retold in so many different iterations. It's just it's crazy. It's wonderful. Just showing how this idea has been kept alive and sort of transfigured and transformed by us, but still holding that essential meaning. Which is pretty... All right. So yeah, the narrative again, it's a frame narrative. So you have the creature's tale right in the center, and but he does learn language through the DeLacy family. So they're also at the center. So the DeLacy family. The creature finds a hovel near their place and observes them. So he observes humanity. What does it mean to be human? He learns sympathy and compassion from them. He learns about music. He learns to read. He reads Goethe and he reads Milton, and he learns to relate that to his own experience, and it actually causes an existential crisis, his reading. So you get that story, and then he tells his story to Victor Frankenstein, his creator and very neglectful parent. Victor Frankenstein then tells it to Robert Walton, who is a northern adventurer. He's heading towards the land of eternal light, so very symbolic. And he meets Victor Frankenstein as Victor Frankenstein is pursuing the creature. So after he tells it to Robert Wilton, Robert Wilton tells it to his sister, Mary Saville, who has the same initials as Mary Shelley. And then from there, it's the outside reader, that's us. So we, the readers, keep the novel alive. We retell it in manifold iterations. And as I will show in this presentation, I guess it's not a paper, the novel is the study of consciousness, an exploration of what it is and what it means to be alive. So it's a great novel. So the epigraph I was talking about is from Paradise Lost, and it's Adam speaking. The creature represents both Adam and Satan, and same thing goes for Victor Frankenstein, who's considered like a doppelganger. All the creatures are kind of like sort of imitations of one another. So again, it's kind of similar to talk about Virginia Woolf later, where she talks about the idea that she doesn't want to create personality. She said personality and character should be eliminated at all costs, and what she wants to present are perspectives, which is pretty neat. So again, this vast array of perspectives, you have to dissolve the self and sort of in order to embody these different identities. But so the quotation is, "Did I request thee, Maker, from my clay to mold me man? Did I solicit thee from darkness to promote me?" So the creature himself is asking this. He didn't ask to be born. We didn't ask to be born. So what does this mean? Why have we been created? We don't know, which is pretty exciting.